Greetings, my name is Odin from the Odin's Musings YouTube channel, and I'm here on behalf of Aura Crystals. Today I will be teaching you about the Single St Petersburg Stitch. This is a nice thin band that we can create, either as a standalone piece, or we can even use it as a rope or chain for our focal pendants. There is also a double stitch variation which we will be learning in a later video. For this project, we're going to be using two contrasting colors of size 11 seed beads. I'm using one for the main color and one as the accent color. Color A and color B. You'll also need a clasp of your choice. In my case, I'm going to be using a lobster claw accompanied by a jump ring. You will also need a stop bead or a spring thread stopper. I am using a white D-weight Nymo, but you can feel free to use a 4 to 6 pound test Fireline. I am also using a size 12 beading needle, but feel free to use whatever you're most comfortable with. You can find a full materials list as well as links to where you can purchase down in the description box below. And with all that being said, let us get started. The first thing we're going to do is attach our stop bead, and I'm just going to pass my stop bead through my thread, leaving about a 6 to 8 inch tail so that I can attach my clasp on the other end. I'm going to then go back up and pass back through the bead so that it stays in place. If I'm using a thread stopper, all I'm going to do is open it up, slide my thread through one of the grooves, and close it shut. To start our first stitch, I'm going to slide on one color A, or my accent bead, and 6 color B beads. We're going to be building off of the last 4 beads, but we need 2 in order to keep the pattern in place. So I'm going to slide that down. Then I'm going to separate the color B beads into pairs. The first 2 we're not going to touch because that belongs to this row. The next 2 is just the other half of this row. And these ones are going to be used to build the next row. So what I want to do is count up 4 beads. 1, 2, and then we pick up number 3 and number 4. And when we pull that tight, numbers 5 and 6 have curled over, something similar to a ladder stitch. We pull that down so that it meets the rest of the piece. Now to continue on and finish this stitch, I'm going to add one color A and pass down through the first 2 beads, going downward. When I pull that tight, this kind of forms a small fringe piece that keeps the thread in place. Now I need to start off my next stitch. I need to add on one color A and pass up through the 2 color B's next over. And this starts our next stitch. Next we're going to sort of repeat similar stages in order to make the next stitch and the one after that. So I'm going to add 4 color B beads, pass that down. Then we have our 6 beads like we did here. I'm going to count 1, 2, pick up 3 and 4. Pull through so that 5 and 6 moves to the adjacent stitch. We pull that tight. We add our color B bead, go down the first 2 beads to add a little fringe piece at the top. Then to finish this stitch and set up to the next one, I'm going to add one more color B and pass up through the 2 beads sticking out on the adjacent row. And we will have completed 1 stitch. Continue on again, adding 4 beads, pulling that down. From the bottom, we count up 1, 2, pick up 3 and 4, pull through so that 5 and 6 curls over. We pull it down to meet the rest of the beadwork. We need to move over to get our next row, so we add one color A. We move down the first 2 beads, add one more color A, and pass up the next bead. From here, we continue again. I'll show you one more time. Add on 4 beads, pass them down, count up 1, 2, pick up 3 and 4, so that 5 and 6 curls around. Set up for the next stitch by adding on one color A, pass down through the first 2 beads, add on one more color A, and move on through the first 2 beads on the other side to continue our next row. Continue in that manner until you feel comfortable with the stitch and you have a good length going on, and then I can show you how to end threads and attach new ones. Once you've found that you might need new threads, all we're going to do is reinforce a little bit so that we can have a nice structure for ending our threads. So I'm going to stop after I have added my previous bead from this row, the color A that goes through. I'm going to pass down through the 4 color B beads from the previous row. This also helps to reinforce it so that the work isn't twisting around. I'm going to then pass through the next color A. Then I'm going to add a half hitch knot. So what I'm going to do is pick up the thread bridge that is holding up the color A, and I'm going to pull my thread until I form a loop, pass my needle through that loop, and pull tight. Next, I'm going to go up through the 2 color Bs, pass through the color A at the top, go down through all 4 color Bs, pass through the color A at the bottom, add another half hitch knot. So I've grabbed the thread between this color A, I've pulled my thread through until I formed a loop. I'm going to pass my needle through this loop and pull tight. Going up through 2 color Bs at the top, through the color B at the top, then down through all 4 color Bs. From there, I'm just going to clip my thread, and you're ready to add your new thread. We're going to essentially do the same but in reverse. We're going to be adding knots to the top rows instead. So I'm going to go down a little bit further and pass my needle through the 4 color Bs that is a little bit far from the very last row. I'm going to pull through, leaving about a 1-inch tail so that I have something to hold on to. Then I'm going to pick up the thread bridge near the color A bead at the top and do my half hitch knot. From there, I'm going to go up the top 2 color Bs on the next row and pick up the color A as well. I'm going to pick up the thread bridge nearby and add another half hitch knot. Now that I've added 2, I'm going to basically follow the stitches until I get back to where I need to be. So from this knot here, I'm going to go up through the 2 color Bs at the top, through the top color A, back down through those 2 color Bs, through the color A at the bottom, up through all 4 color Bs and the color A at the top, down through 2 of the color Bs, over the color A, and finally the 2 color Bs left hanging. From there you can go ahead and trim your end on the other side. Then you're ready to continue the stitch. So we add our 4 beads, pull them down, count up 1, 2, pick up 3, 4, so that 5 and 6 circles around. Pick up 1 color B, go down the first 2, pick up another color A, and go up the next one, and so forth. Now to attach my clasp on this side where I only have 2 beads, I'm going to add 2 color Bs and 1 color A and pull that down. Then from there, I'm going to pass back down through the color A that I've added in all 4 color Bs, so that I have the clasp there. Then I'm going to maneuver around in order to reinforce it. So I'm going to go up through the color A on the bottom, go up the color Bs, the top 2, go through the color A at the top, go back down through the 2 color Bs, pass through the color A at the bottom, go up through all of the color Bs and the color A at the top, pass through my clasp, then go back down through the color A and all 4 color Bs. From there, you can move around again to reinforce once more if you'd like, but then you should travel down through more of these rows and then end your thread. The other side, where your stop bead is going to be the same exact thing, except we already have the 2 color B's and 1 color A. So all you need to do is remove your stop bead, and then add on the other half of your clasp, and repeat the steps in order to anchor it in place. And that is it for the St. Petersburg Stitch. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed. If you're finding that the stitch twists around a lot, what you can do is take another thread and pass through and reinforce all of these beads so that they're nice and tight in place. Also, using Fireline will help with that, and having tight thread tension will help that resolve. Check down in the description box for the full materials list as well as links to where you can purchase supplies. And while you're down there, feel free to subscribe to Aura Crystals for more updates on new tutorials and technique ideas. And also be on the lookout for the double St. Petersburg video where we show you a different variation, creating this stitch with 2 sides. And if you'd like to see more of my work, feel free to check me out at Odin's Musings right here on YouTube or at odinsbeadhall.com.